Let's move on to the second of our trends. So that is artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is not new. Artificial intelligence has been around for over 50 years. It's had a number of false starts, but now is absolutely the time, largely because we've got a massive amount of data now, more than we've ever had before. We've got machines that are actually very good at using the data and operating at the sort of scale that you have to with the data that's coming around. And then also the way that we're teaching the AIs has become much better now than it used to be. And so it is everywhere. Literally, there is an opportunity for machine learning or artificial intelligence within every organization. And it's extraordinary, the uptake and how fast it has been over the last year to 2 years. It's come, slowly, and now truly exponential growth. So you should look to see how your organization is using artificial intelligence, or if it could use artificial intelligence. So the easiest way in, frankly, and the best bang for your buck is the chatbot space. And so, the banks are all using chatbots as a way to interact with their customers. Westpac has Wendy, and Wendy is like a friend to your sort of 15 to 25-year-old. Helps them find their first job, gives them life advice, financial coaching, and so forth. Really quite remarkable. And then you've got Microsoft. They actually bought the company that built this for them, but it's a solution which actually informs what the upsell should be when you drive through a McDonald's. So no longer is it just simply, would you like fries with that? It's actually an informed upsell, and that will take into account time of day, weather, all those sorts of things. And so the upsell might be apple pie, might be some sort of McFlurry, who knows. It's so interesting that you can use this in very much real time to create opportunities for yourself with the organization. The next area where we're seeing AI in a lot of cases is in the call center space. And so what is happening is you call up and there are AI solutions that are using what's called natural language processing. And so it's able to hear what you're saying, and it's very good. That's been one of the standouts of AI, at least at the sort of mainstream level, how good natural language processing is. It's very good at understanding what it is that you're saying these days. So it's listening and it's able to form a view as to how you're feeling. And so they can tell, are you angry? Are you ready for an upsell, etc.? And then it's feeding that information back real time to the call center operator. But also importantly, it is actually making that information available to the organization so it can determine whether there are regulatory issues, particularly if you are in financial services or telecommunications, heavily regulated. You need to make sure that your call center operators are not saying things they shouldn't be saying. And so these AI solutions are able to, in real time, assess whether there is compliance with the various regulations around what the call center operators should be saying. Also seeing it around operational maintenance, quality control, management functions. It works beautifully in things like mining companies where there's a lot of things happening in a mine. There's a lot of sort of trucks moving around. There's ore moving from one place to another. A lot of logistics be handled. So folks like Fortescue and Rio Tinto are doing remarkable things with artificial intelligence. Domino's Pizza, I think they've got a fascinating use, and what it does is it's watching the people who are making the pizza, and it is then able to assess in real time if that pizza is being made in accordance with specs. And that would have been very good for me back when I was a 19-year-old and I was working for the predecessor, I'm sorry to say, the predecessor of Domino's Dial-A-Pizza. And I used to make pizzas, and can I say that if there are any of those poor people who received those pizzas, can I just apologise now, because I got all of my quantities wrong. There was, too much cheese on one, too little tomato sauce on the other. So what they're able to do in real time is ensure that the quality of the pizzas are what they should be. Also fantastic in regulatory and policing functions. So the TAB, as the betting organisation, is able to use artificial intelligence to determine if underage people are coming into their organisation. We're also seeing the big grocery stores actually use artificial intelligence to assess if people are under-reporting at the scan, at the self-scan, which the amount of money that they lose every year because of the under-reporting, that reporting the mangoes as lemons happens quite a bit. So it's interesting to see how organisations self-scanning was a fascinating and important move, and now the technology is taking it even one step further. And then in recruitment, we see a lot of AI in recruitment. Tends to be where the bias issues come out as well, but we know that large organisations use AI to go through the enormous number of job applications that they get. So Telstra had 19,000 people apply for particular jobs, and so they were able to use artificial intelligence to check to see who should make it to the next round. In fact, if you are going for a more of a lower level, entry level job these days, it can be 2 or 3 online interviews just with a machine before you in fact ever get to a human. So definitely artificial intelligence is the future of recruitment. In insurance, it's been fantastic. So we're seeing the ability for artificial intelligence, because it can look to all of the previous information, previous claims histories of these sorts of claims, and so we're seeing claims approvals come from weeks down to literally within 24 hours. And then industry-specific applications. So we've got Amica, which is all about if people are going through a divorce, the AI can help to assess what is a fair and equitable split up. Pain Check is a fantastic solution which allows clinicians to understand what is the level of pain that people are actually experiencing, where those people are incapable of actually communicating that they are in pain. So things that we've really never been able to deal with before are really being helped out by artificial intelligence. Of course, it's not without its issues. We know that. So right at the moment, artificial intelligence is being regulated, and not regulated terribly much, frankly, around the world. But we're using ethics. So we're saying, there are ethical codes of conduct in relation to AI in most countries. Some of the key issues that are coming out, though, are things like bias. So we've seen on a number of occasions where artificial intelligence has been racially biased. And it's not that the technology is biased. It's that the data that goes into it has a natural bias in it. And so there was a terrible case where it was a technology which would determine what was the likelihood of a particular parole applicant, what was the likelihood that they would recommit a crime. And it was found in that case that the artificial intelligence was actually very biased against particular racial minorities. Also, one of the problems with AI is it's a black box often, which is we don't know how it comes to its solution. How did it make that decision? So we need to make sure that AI is auditable, and that is going to be a very significant issue for the world, and particularly as we start to see artificial intelligence programming artificial intelligence. So our ability to understand what it's doing will be difficult. As I said, we don't have that much regulation around the world. I see this changing. I think we're going to start to see more regulations in due course.